Good morning. Today is the fourth day of the week, third week. Till the last week, I was discussing on social skill. I have some more points to be discussed in the social skill. So, let me continue. Influencing is one strong social skill which I have already elaborated during my influencing skill. One strong point is how do you influence others positively, because our objective is to see how positively you are influencing others. Induction and orientation is another strong social skill. Induction and orientation, by this, what you do is you communicate certain code of conducts, certain rules, certain etiquettes and manners, certain set behaviors, certain actions which you communicate to others. That is for behavioral things. But how about the products? You communicate the essences of the products to your salesperson. Suppose you are a sales manager. You have hired about say 5 salespersons. They do not know much about your product now. You induct them. You take them in your team. You orient them towards the entire gamut of activity. You tell them how to sell this product, before which you tell them what is this product about. Okay? So, many facts which are to be shared with them is going to be beneficial. In this social skill, here the team that you have built, the team has to understand you. So, your communication skill to them has to be so quick, smooth and easily transmitted. No jargons, no acronyms, no high sounding words, no strong vocabularies, in a very simple language, as if you are talking over a cup of tea. You explain, orient them towards the products, all essences, so that when they go to the client, they will do in the similar manner, explain the whole aspects of it. Okay? This is a strong social skill, because it is a skill that the managers should have. Managers cannot just give one handouts saying this is a sales manual, you have to follow these, this and this is your target. No, that is not the way. You have to communicate. The good managers, they never think they are the managers. Good managers think that they are the friends of the salespersons. Interacting is important. You develop the social skill only if you interact. Without interaction, social skill cannot happen, and interaction is always between 2 or more. It cannot be one. You cannot interact with yourself. Interaction is you and another person, or maybe more than one person. Okay? So, if you do not interact, your social skills do not grow. So, interacting skill should be very proper. This can be trained. Means you can teach people how to interact. Initially, there may be some kind of bottlenecks, or there may be some bit of hesitations, there may be some bit of wrong gestures or movements, but you can always teach how to interact with people and then practice it. Without practice, interaction will never grow. So, it is always said the best is you do not have to make everybody your friends, but you can always mix with people, talk to them, learn from them the way they speak, learn from them the way they behave and manifest. So, interaction is important. Interpersonal relationship is basically between two. How you behave, how you react to the points that somebody is raising. This relationship building, I always say that is it is reciprocated. You can build a good relation, you can also build a bad relation. Okay? When you build a relationship, always try to see, put yourself in the shoes of the other person and look at yourself. Then you will find interpersonal relationship will be built better. Never think that you are you, because if you think you are yourself and all your points and your values, your beliefs, your ideologies, everything you are going to thrust upon him. But why should he care that your ideology is right or everything that you are saying is right? Why should he care? Rather, you try to understand the way he would like to know from you, and then try to talk like that. It is because of this, in the interpersonal relationship, which I will elaborate more in my verbal communication, you cannot have monologues. You may think there are many events of monologues, or even say, I would say the bragging of this. I will come to this when I will talk about the interviews and the verbal communications. Very interesting. If you are meeting somebody and suppose the same person is only talking about himself and his works and his success and his everything, does not give you a scope to you to speak about yourself and the rest, then it is really not an interaction. It is only if you were absent, still he would have spoken that, but he got somebody to hear because you are forced to hear. Maybe you are counting and trying to see your watch that when he is going to stop speaking and I am going to leave this room. That is not interaction, and that is not going to build interpersonal relationship. In the interpersonal relationship, always put yourself in the shoes of the opposite person, think in his line and review it and contest it. Interpersonal relationship does not mean that you have to agree. You can always also disagree, and disagree does not mean that you are now becoming opponents or enemies. No, disagreement is basically you are trying to put your point forth so that he understands that where he is wrong. Important. Knowledge and culture and traditions for your business is very important. Which product you are going to sell, and the product which you are going to sell to a market, what is the traditions of that particular market or people, what is the cultural status of that particular groups whom you are going. Something like an example, let me tell you. Suppose you are selling something which is good for female ladies. If you go to a male community and try to sell that for their wives, because your product is to be used by their wives, spouses, but you are trying to sell to a person saying that okay, this will be good for your wife, this will never make a headway, because the culture and tradition does not say that you communicate about all the details of that particular product to somebody who is not the user of it. You must reach the ladies and then communicate your points. Sometimes it so happens certain products which are very personal are being marketed by ladies to the ladies. Reverse is not true. So, the point is you must know what is the culture of this society, what is the culture of this group of market segment, what is the tradition. You try to sell something which is traditionally not really accepted, then in such cases, because of your lack of knowledge, you ventured into the selling and you will fail. Not only fail, you will miserably fail, and not only you will miserably fail, you will get also depressed, you might give up this particular job. So, point is, before you go for marketing any item, you must have clear knowledge of that market segment's culture, whether it is ethnicity, whether it is regional, whether it is a social class, whether it is an economic class, whether it is an age group. Analyze well. Very strong analysis will give you an opportunity to know exactly how to sell your product. If you are trying to sell a recently launched mobile phone to a grandfather, I am sure you will miserably fail. If you try to sell a recently launched costly mobile to a person who is a middle income group person, you will miserably fail. But you might be able to sell that particular product to a young person who does not have a real sense of value of money. He only would pressurize his parents to pay for that and get that particular mobile from you. This is the culture. Good or bad, I am not commenting on that. If you want to sell your product, understand the cultural conditions and the traditions of that market segment. So, here the markets analysis comes to a great extent. So, when I will talk about the marketing strategies, some more points I will raise at this point for this. Leadership development is another social skill. Everybody cannot be the leader. You remember that I have talked about this leadership a little earlier also in the last week. Leadership development, not leadership. Leadership is your own. but leadership development is you are trying to create more leaders. There are companies where the person who built the company brought it to billion turnover, but always been afraid of creating next rung leaders, because he always thought that he will be dislodged or he will lose his importance. So, the next level of people he never built as leaders. So, everybody he is a leader, below which nobody is a leader, though there are certain hierarchies, but not the leader. This is also another very weak point. So, here social skill is you be the leader, and you also know how to develop the leaders, and the developing leaders is not one day thing. It is not simply handing out to somebody and promotion letter. No, developing a leader takes ages. Many of the leaders, next rung leaders, has grown with the company by experience. So, for which one thing is very important, that you share your excitements, your success, your failures, your agonies, your turnovers to a certain extent, and your products and everything with the next level to such degree that they also become a part of it, and they become responsible and ultimately become leaders for the next rung. Because after some time you can sit back being the supreme leader, and the next rung of leaders whom you have developed, they are running the whole show and you are so happy. So, leadership development is another social skill. Many people, most of the people generally are not possessing this leadership development skill. They may be good leaders, but not leadership development skills. So, you have, this is one good skill. Maneuvering is how get things done. Many people whom I have talked to, when I talked about this maneuvering, they always thought that maneuvering is a negative terminology. Many people whom I have talked to, they always thought that maneuvering is a wrong thing. I do not agree. Maneuvering, you just try to, I am trying to draw an analogy with the person who is a good driver of a car. He knows if the road is straight, he can just simply hold the steering wheel, put pressure on the accelerator, the car will go. But if there are impediments in between, he just operates the steering, takes the car in a proper manner without hindering anybody, without hurting anybody, without not even hurting its own vehicle, he just takes it through. We treat it as negative. Maneuvering is the process which is slightly different from the standard track. So, how you maneuver means you found that you are progressing with certain approaches, suddenly you had a impediment or stumbling block, then you shift your policies or approaches, and then does not hurt anybody, only thing it takes you forward. So, maneuvering is a very strong social skill, but I would also caution you, people who has a very strong affinity towards maneuvering for negative senses, try to identify it, do not just fall prey to it. Networking in today's context is one of the great thing means you must network. Earlier, when our digital facility was not available, digital services, network services, we used to write letters. We used to write letters for networking to connect. When the telephone became almost household item, then we used to talk, and now we are very much a slave of the network through digital media, emails and other things. Networking is a very strong social skill by which you connect to the people, but there is a danger. I would like to point out that danger. Network is nothing but a labyrinth. It is like cobweb. Originally, when this WWW stuff came, World Wide Web, basically the whole network was thought as a web, and the web term came from the cobweb, from the spider's web. Now, if you consider that it's too big a thing, should you be connecting to everything? Networking is good, but networking with everything or anything that comes in front of you somehow lands onto your system and network on it is not good. Networking is a very good social skill, but networking sometimes may be very, very detrimental and dysfunctional. So, I would say this way, connect, you must connect. Since you have business, you must connect to the manufacturers, to the producers, to the markets, to the buyers, the clients, do network. That does not mean that you have to network with everybody. Imagine an example. You are networking with a company. Whom should you network with? You start from the chairman to the gate man. You network with everybody. You have the possibility. Everybody might be having an email ID. No. Then here I would put a note of cautioning. Try to identify whom you should network with. Which networking is going to be beneficial for you, which networking is going to be detrimental for you, dangerous for you. You should be able to separate them out, network only with the beneficial ones. It is not that when I am saying beneficial means you are trying to make profit or get advantage. No, I am saying that there is a link which you definitely want to establish for going further, going forward. Okay? Networking is a very strong social skill, but nowadays when I find that people are through networking they are falling prey to the Facebook and many other things, they are networking. It's very good, I'll tell you, means we get to know so much through all these sites, but sometimes over networking jams up your mind, system, time and all. So, in business there is a networking. I will have one segment of discussion on how to network for business in one of my following lectures in future. Organizational ethics is how there is a set rule for the organizations, do's and don'ts. Ethics is all the do's and also the clear idea of don'ts. Organizational ethics is one good social skill. The moment you join an organization, the targets, the objectives of that particular company is now imbibed by you. As long as you are employed by them, it will be there. Suppose you have come from another organization where the organizational code of conducts, the operations, the objects were slightly different. An example, you were working with a company where you are on the seller's side, and now you have joined a company which is on the buyer side, diametrically opposite. You came and sold, and now you are in a company when you are going to buy. These two have different sets of ethics that is set by the organizational culture, the objectives and all. So, when you are having a good idea about this, have a very clear statement of what is the organizational ethics and don't deviate and don't in fact flout the ethics, because ethics is another which can really loft you up to great success. But if once you have been identified in the market that you adopt unethical means, then you lose forever. The trust, I said, nobody will trust you if you have ever broken the conduct of the ethics. Now, organizational ethics means within that organization ethics. If you are on the seller's side, that ethics follow, but don't follow the same rule or same ethics in the buyer's side when you join, because they have a different code of conduct, different ethics. I have found one thing, let me share, it is very interesting. If one company is selling one particular product, so whenever he came to me for marketing that, he always said our product is the best, our product is the best. He kept on saying all big talks, our product is the best. I said, you tell me your competitors. He gave me a name of 5 competing company manufacturers, and he said best. All right, no problem. But the thing is, he shifted from that company to the other company, one of the other companies. He came to me again and he kept on saying our company is the best. Now tell me, I am the same person, listening to the same person, only 2 years back and now it is 2 years after. He told me that his company was the best and the company he is representing now was one of the bad companies, and now he is in this company and saying this is the best, the other one is bad. Whom shall I trust? Ethically, what he should have done is, he should have said that I was in that company, I wanted growth, I found growth in this company, they have some limitations, I am improving their quality. So, this company is likely to give you a better product which I thought originally was not the better one. That is ethics. He is making a very ethical statement, not demeaning any other. And for God's sake, when you are selling your own product, if there are competing other manufacturers or producers, never try to demean them just to lift you up, because it is only a virtual lifting that you are doing. Pay respect to the others. If you really find in book of records their weaknesses, you can always highlight, because if you don't, client will do it. Okay? So, ethics can never be compromised. Personal branding is another social skill. In the personal branding, what happens is basically you are branding yourself, whether you are doing it for company or doing it for yourself. If you are an educated person, then you have a brand. Brand is you are educated. If you are a good sports person, then your brand is you are a good sports person. Okay? This personal branding you must be able to do properly. Branding is what? You are trying to project yourself to others who will be looking towards you, whether for purchase or whether for any other benefits. Okay? This branding is important. So, make your own personal branding appropriate. Personal branding is it can also be taught. There are many ways by which a personal branding can be done, but never put yourself in a situation when your personal branding is either getting rejected, or personal branding is defective, or your personal branding is not appropriate. If you are branding minded, the brand sets in the mind of the person whom you are branding it, and it is always a level of expectation from you in terms of your brand. It is just like the branded companies we blindly follow, we blindly trust. The branded companies, any garment that I pick up, I always blindly trust that if that company I consider as a brand, then all their garments are going to be of the at least this minimum quality. So, this branding, your own branding, is very, very vital. Okay? Now, in this social skill, there are some more points which I would like to highlight. I said about branding, personal branding. That means you want to project your all positives to people, so that they know you as a very coveted personality. Personal positioning is also important. Personal positioning is very sensitive if you don't handle it properly. You position yourself. Example, let me tell you, when you go to a conference, you are meeting 100 to 200 people, most of them for the first time and most of them for the last time. You went there, you met them, they go back home, you come back home. What is ideal is which image of yourself they are going back with. Contrary is also right, opposite is also right. Which image of them individually you are storing in your mind and you are going back. When you go back, you will find that you would like to communicate with 5 or 6 people out of that 200. Same is true that the 200 persons out of which some of them would like to get in touch with you. It all depends on how did you position yourself, how did you project yourself. Have you been projecting yourself almost like a big talker? Are you trying to project yourself as a very knowledgeable person, but actually you are not that knowledgeable? Are you trying to project yourself that you are trying to do a great thing, but actually you are not doing the great thing? So, how do you position yourself? That positioning is important. This positioning, as I have said, in terms of interaction, if you are meeting somebody for the first time, not in conference, just across the road you met somebody and we have a little bit of chat, 1 or 2 sentences exchanged, there also you have a chance of positioning. The person who had exchanged only 1 or 2 sentences, ultimately then both of you did split and go to your own destinations. He goes back with a memory of somebody he met, you go back with a memory of somebody you met. Okay? So, positioning of yourself personally will be highly attributed by all the personality traits. That means, all the personal skills that you have, your here innovative skills are not of importance, but your influencing skills and your social skills all together will play a very important role. Which one is going to be triggered at which point, I have no clue, neither you have. Okay? So, it is basically positioning yourself. Rapport building is something which is, for your business, you have to build a relationship of contacts. This relationship is not friendly, it is only for contacts. That means, you make other people know you and you know others. It is a very strong social skill. Many people hesitate. Many people hesitate in, first of all, in personal positioning. Some people feel shy Some people think that why should we? Why should we position ourselves? But similarly, some people think why should I build the rapport? Let them build the rapport with me. But the thing is, rapport is what? Rapport is mutual connectivity, and mutual connectivity comes through networking. And then networking is one, just touched one another, but the rapport is the continuity of that network. That means you continue that particular connectivity for whatever purpose. It may be for education, it may be for your general knowledge, it may be for your business, but for business rapport building is must, and the rapport build should be sustained. Okay. Then relation building is, once you create a rapport with somebody else, then you gradually make it further closer in terms of interactions, okay? And then a relation is built. That relation is business relation, because I am focusing on business. It's a business relation. In business, relationship building is such that every time you don't expect something in return. Very interesting. It is automatic. You don't have to expect that I am building rapport with him and I am increasing my relationship, building my relationship with him so that he gives me a project. No, don't try that. Or if suppose somebody is a manufacturer and you got rapport created, you are building relationship with him, and then you are expecting that manufacturer will give you something free every year. No, that is not the idea. Idea is that you are now making a platform in which both of you can communicate so smoothly without any hesitation, without any inhibitions. That is what is relationship building. And relationship building, once done, retain it and sustain it. It is very easy to break that relationship. Then comes responsiveness. Responsiveness is essentially that how do you react? How do you react to the situations with people? Means how you are responsive to some requests, how you are responsive to some demands, how you responsive to some enquiries, how you are responsive to some refusals, how you are responsive to some offers or proposals. This is a very strong social skill, and responsiveness not only you have within, it has to be demonstrated. If you are responding positively, then it must be demonstrated well, and if you are building relationships, then you must also express your relation built. Sales training is another social skill in which you are training the salespersons. I am not saying selling, I am saying sales training. How do you train people to sales? Splitting is one more important one. Splitting is what? You are interacting with some people and then you know the situation is such that you should not continue anymore, you split. How you move? Quite often I have found that if you are, suppose you met somebody and at this point you are not really in a mood or time to interact with him longer, and he shook your hands and not leaving your hand. Have you ever experienced it? I have experienced several times. I really am thankful to the person who is holding my hand for long, because he is so happy to see me, he does not want to leave me, but I want to leave because I have another very strong targets and the time targets. So, I cannot leave. Splitting, how you split from a person whom you are interacting with is a very strong skill. Not everybody can do it. Quite often I have found that somebody has gone for a business and he met somebody else on the way, and ultimately he could not reach the target because he could not split from this intermediary or say intermittent persons who interjected. Supervisory skill is how do you supervise the whole stuff? Everybody. Supervising is not easy. Supervising means you have to have your own intrinsic knowledge. You must have a intrinsic techniques, and also how you communicate well, paying self-respect to the people whom you are supervising and getting your things done up to the quality. Team building and team effectiveness is essential when you are working in collaborations, in cooperativeness, or in a group, because in your business you cannot do everything alone or anything alone. So, you have to have a good team building characteristics. This requires a strong skill. Everybody cannot make a team, and if you see all the games where it is a team playing games, football, cricket, hockey or such others, you will find that team building is very, very essential, where everybody is contributing in their own positions, but everybody's mind is towards the same target, and the target that has been set by either the company or captain or the manager or the coach. The coach has built everybody's skill. The manager is the facilitator, given everybody the situations to work. The captain, who is the team builder, he builds the team and binds the team in such a way that there is an effective disposition of their own skills. Uniting together, there are differences of opinion amongst groups and people will split. People will try to dissociate from this team, and how do you unite together? If you have that skill, you really is a very beneficial person in a group, because uniting usually is very difficult because everybody is suffering from their own ego and superego. So, if people are suffering from the ego and superego, uniting them is very difficult. And worksite politics is another. I am using the term politics not for negative. Worksite politics is, it is a very it happens in any organization when there are more than 2 persons. Even with 2 persons, there will be some kind of manifestations, positive or negative, which we term very loosely as politics. Company politics, departmental politics, team politics. That means something which is not very healthy. In such cases, even I will tell you, if you have to deal with the situation politically means making everybody happy, making adjustments and bringing down to a compromise level, and everybody becomes very, very smooth and soft. This is the politics, and this politics is not compared with the standard politics that we have at our administration level. This politics is how you manifest. This is important. So, this is also another social skill, and sometime if somebody has a very strong social skill in terms of worksite politics, they are even misused. Be very careful. Okay, I stop here up to this. All right. In the next lectures, I will discuss about other kind of soft skills. So far, whatever I have discussed, I have tried to give some examples and some kind of explanations, but I am sure all of you who are going through this particular course, who are listening to me, you have your own personal experience. I don't know what. Try to compare them with your own experiences, or try to analyze each of these terminologies with your own experiences and try to see what is what. Okay? Then I will be successful. My objective will be fulfilled. Thank you very much for your time dispensed, and I am sure you would be enjoying this further, because there are many more things to come. And in case you find that you have any questions, you please feel free to connect. Okay? So, I will discuss in the next class the other soft skill sets. Thank you very much for your time.